Hey, it's your old pal Slim, and this is 70 Millimeter, a podcast for film fans just like you. With me, as always, is close friend and artist Danny Haas.
Hello.
And our close friend and movie insider, Pert Alexis.
Ha 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 ha.
God.
Every episode is connected to a theme for that month, and this time it's Torment-tober. Scary movies only, and my pick, it was never in doubt. My pick was Hellbound, Hellraiser II from 1988. And you can use those chapters in your podcast app to just get right to it. Just get right to the discussion if you have to.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Avery left a review, tagged it 70mm pod. That's the only tag I search. Quote, Jesus wasn't the only one who wept on this viewing. Is Kyle right? We'll find out next. Ahsoka Part 8. Is that Julie Crystal as Pinhead in the chat? What is that?
Wow.
Me? Oh my God. That's terrifying.
End of this.
I've had that nightmare.
Ahsoka Part 8. The season is over. The show is over. This could be it. Might never be another Ahsoka. Just a reminder, patrons get our uncut Ahsoka thoughts. Some people have voiced their concerns about the amount of cursing in these episodes, but these are uncut. We can't do anything about it.
Sorry, Tom.
But the big story this week. But the big story tonight.
What is it?
Exorcist Believer reviews are in.
Oh.
Not good. $400 million down the tubes, they're saying, Proto. Our boy David Gordon Green from the Halloween trilogy, which some of us loved, might have a stinker on his hands.
This movie cost $400 million to make? Is that what you said?
They're doing a trilogy, so they sunk in $400 million.
Oh my God.
For 3 of these?
Yeah, 3 of these.
Oh.
Could we not get Gareth Edwards as a consultant on this?
Yeah. He knows how to cut corners.
God. Actually, that's not a bad idea. I mean, $80 million for the creator.
I got to see that too.
We're in for 2 more of these. Danny McBride credited as a co-writer. Some people are saying Danny McBride. I don't know if he has what it takes for these movies.
I could see him though. I could see them getting in the black with this trilogy. Yeah. 400 million. Yeah. I mean, The Exorcist, people love possession. They love demons.
Speaking of which, of demonic alignment, did you know that Danny shares a birthday with Clive Barker and that day is today? And we're covering Hellraiser Hellbound.
The cards aligned. The puzzle box opened.
The podcast puzzle box.
We did it.
Pardo, I want to hear about a movie that you watched this week.
Okay.
And
please.
Also, maybe more importantly, I want to hear more about this impression that you did in this UFO that you sent to interns on our Patreon about Tootsie. Proto did a Dustin Hoffman impression that knocked my socks off in this clip. Well, tell me about Tootsie. How'd it go?
Well, I'm closing in on my AFI journey completion. I'm at 97% now after watching Tootsie. I have 3 more movies to go. And Tootsie, I've been trying to avoid this movie. I was thinking, how can I not watch this movie on this list but complete it? Other than I'm not the biggest Dustin Hoffman fan. I've already watched 3 other movies on this list from him, but I had to fire it up. I'm a professional. I'm going to watch them all. So I just really was like, I'm just going to sit down and do it. So Tootsie is from 1982. It's directed by Sidney Pollack, who actually directed one of my favorite rom-coms, Sabrina, from
Harrison Ford.
1995. Harrison Ford. Amazing picture. Not enough people
How many
talking
minutes?
about it.
How many minutes long, Sabrina?
Let's see. I'm guessing
96
minutes.
minutes.
127 minutes, a little long in the tooth.
God.
But we can get through this. All right, let's return to Tootsie. Um,
Drifting into Greg Turkington territory. We're talking about how long the movie is.
So in Tootsie, Dustin Hoffman plays an actor who hasn't worked in 20 years, but he teaches and he's very good at it. And he's trying to get he's always trying to get a role. He's auditioning, but he's hard to work with. So his friend auditions for this role. And then he figures he'll audition as well as a woman. So he nails it. He gets the job. And then it's basically of him having to now pretend to be this character at all times on this soap opera and with his coworkers. So as a good cast, there's Dabney Coleman's in it, Jessica Lange, and then even Bill Murray's in it, which I didn't realize he was going to be in it until he appeared on screen. But, oh man, the Dustin Hoffman as a woman is not good in this movie. And it's the movie. You have to watch him play a woman the whole time. And it just didn't really work for me. And the movie is very dated just in terms of like the aspects of like men and women and how they interact. And I think the story was a mistake. The core idea of this movie is a mistake. So yeah, I feel pressure. I don't think I could replicate the Dustin Hoffman.
No, you don't have to. I can maybe
voice
drop in a
right
clip,
here.
teaser clip of you doing a Dustin voice.
Okay.
Everyone believes that I'm a woman as I perform on this soap opera on TV. And oh, well, I do things that women should do for themselves. But I'm actually Dr. Dustin Hoffman. I'm a man underneath. That's what this movie is about. And it's sick.
I gave it 2 stars.
Oh, sheesh. The AFI journey crawling towards the finish line. At this
What's
point.
left?
I think I've had a brisk pace this whole time personally.
What's left though? It's like 5 films, right?
I've got Sophie's Choice,
Oh,
Meryl Streep, banger probably, hoping.
stay tuned.
And then I have Robert Altman's Nashville, which I've been dying to watch for years. And then Raging Bull.
Oh my gosh.
Raging
Right?
Bull.
Yikes.
Right?
I'm not sure.
Say it.
Legal might need to have to pull something for this Raging Bull.
Well,
Should we just
Maybe
cover
the finale.
Raging Bull?
Yeah, maybe like to celebrate the finale of your journey, we should cover Raging Bull. There's a 4K of that out, isn't there?
Yeah.
I think there is, yeah.
Criterion.
We'll marinate further on this.
And then
This is a
watch,
good
I
narrative.
bet me and Scorsese have the same birthday.
How long has it been going on for? Do you have the start date written down in a journal somewhere?
I don't have it in a journal. Well, I have my Letterboxd journal. So I'm not with I think it was sometime in the summer, or maybe it was like late spring.
Wow.
I'll have to consult my Letterboxd journal. Figure this out.
We talked about how like the last week of this month, it's a free space. There's an extra week this month. So we can at least tease the fact that there will be a vote for patrons.
Yeah.
We were previously discussing, what 4 or so movies should we throw out there for people to vote on. And listen, some of these movies are big time. Pardo has the list in his journal.
Big. Yes, I do.
Let's say hello to some new patrons. Mitchell Weston and Dan Shu joined this week. They got access to the VHS Village Discord, discounts on Danny's prints, and a whole lots of other stuff. Get a membership card. I haven't mentioned the membership card in a while, but you get a membership card when you join. Danny, what did you watch this week?
Well, we got started on kind of just our, October stuff. Let me see on my Letterboxd. Oh, I like to kick off October with some of the Disney animated shorts from like the 50s and the 30s. I watched The Trick or Treat, Lonesome Ghosts, Ichabod and Mr. Toad. But then not as a family, Casey and I, we got Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone in there.
Whoa.
Because that's a Halloween movie,
Mm-hmm. Sure.
But then we were talking about on Sunday, I think it was Sunday, we were like, let's watch a horror movie. And I asked Casey what one she hadn't seen yet. So we fired up the Babadook. She hadn't seen the Babadook.
Oh.
Obviously we love it. I love it. It's such a
Was that Casey's
Such a
first
fun movie.
Was that Casey's first viewing? Of
Her first
Babadook?
viewing. She didn't watch it when we covered it.
Thanks, Casey.
But now she said she gets to go back and listen to the episode.
Mm.
Other than that, that's kind of been my weekend. I've been dying to get to the theater to see The Creator.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to get to the theater to see The Exorcist. So, you know.
Big week. Halloween's
It's a
right
big
around the
week coming
corner.
up. Halloween's close. You logged
Whoa.
Trick or Treat.
I did.
I still haven't seen this one. And I feel like I've seen this Sackboy character on like horror merch for years now. I still haven't gotten around to see it.
I'm going to cut the little MP3 of you saying sack boy for personal use.
You're welcome.
First of all, amazing transition to ask me what I watched.
It's not my first podcast.
The same director as Godzilla, King of the Monsters, Michael Dougherty,
Oh, really?
as Trick or Treat.
Trick or Treat, yeah.
I don't know what the hell the correct. You can say Trick or Treat. Doesn't bother me none. Trick or Treat. I remember this being like kind of like one of those annoying movies that some of my friends wouldn't shut up about when it came out. Like one of those cult movies. Like what's that Christmas horror movie?
Die Hard.
Like exports, rare exports.
Oh, yeah.
That was another movie like that. Some people just like, all right, shut up. I'll watch it eventually. So, anywho, I'm older now. You know, I'm more calm,
wiser
in my elder age, and it's actually a pretty fun sort of anthology movie. It's a couple stories, and they're all somehow interconnected in this town.
Oh, really?
Anna Paquin is in it. Every time I watch it, I kind of forget. Yeah, look at that. Ev just posted a GIF of her. I forget that she's in this. Brian Cox is in it. Pretty fun Halloween
Brian Cox
movie.
is in it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I definitely
Well, now I'm gonna
recommend
watch it.
adding it to your Halloween rotation. It's a fun movie. Every time I do watch it, it's kind of like I'm half paying attention. I'm doing something else. So I have it at 3.5 stars, but it is fun. Very fun.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
Add it to the list, please.
I'm adding it.
I also rewatched Hellraiser.
I know. You had to
Had
go
an
back.
amazing time rewatching Hellraiser. I listened back to our Hellraiser episode. Phew, man, we were cooking. We were cooking in that episode.
Stay tuned.
What else did I watch? I watched a movie called The Invitation. You ever heard of this?
Yeah.
No.
Wait, did Proto say yes?
He did
Yeah.
say yes.
Of course. I've
Really?
heard the invitation. Of
Oh my
course.
God. Okay. This was his prep for the Letterboxd show. Karen Kusama is the director. She also did Jennifer's Body.
Oh, okay.
And she's done, I think she's like kind of moved to doing primarily TV the last couple of years. She did a few episodes of the Yellow Jackets. I was initially hesitant to watch it because like the description is Will and his new girlfriend are invited to a dinner with old friends at the house of Will's ex and her new partner. Although the evening appears to be relaxed, Will soon gets a creeping suspicion that their charming host David is up to something. So initially I was like, oh God, is this some kind of like kidnap torture?
God.
Prawn for
Kidnap
2 hours.
torture.
Like a snuff film.
Mhm.
Like
Oh,
that
God.
one movie I had to watch for Letterboxd show last year or whatever. So Logan Marshall Green is in it. He was like he was assigned. He was the annoying scientist from Prometheus. He wore flip-flops. I literally just wanted to knock him out when I saw that movie. So I was like, oh God, this guy's in it too. And really, I was just annoyed by his character, not the actual actor. Easy to get that mixed up. So the backstory of him and his girlfriend, they're coming to this dinner party and it's at his ex's house, but they're separated because they had a young son who died at like a party. There was like some kind of accident. They never recovered from it. They separated. In the flashbacks, he's got short hair. Present day in this movie, he's got like long hair. He's got a huge beard. And his wife and this boyfriend are kind of, the wife is very happy. It's almost like she's kind of recovered in her own way from the grief of this event that's taken place. And they get there. It seems like they're almost like kind of like new age hippie-ish. And they're like, oh, we just want to play you this video. It could potentially change your life. They play this video in front of their friends. It's really awkward. And it's about this group of people that have found peace together after recovering from like a difficult period of grief in their life.
Okay.
And you start to feel like, are these two, what's going on with these two? They're acting really weird. They're playing these videos. They're talking kind of like new agey. Are they in a cult? So the whole movie is kind of like Logan Marshall Green being like, I need to get the F out of here. Something is off. Like, why is my wife like this? And it goes from there. I thought it was really good. I was shocked by it. It's 3.3 stars in Letterboxd. I might give it 4 stars.
Sounds pretty good.
Every week we give out a free year of Letterboxd patron. You tag your review 70mm pod. If you tag your review anything else, I never look at it. We have a close personal friend of ours that I won't even name that is still using the wrong tag. It's like 70mm
It's embarrassing,
podcast.
actually.
That's not the tag that I searched. 70mm pod. So Jesse left a review for Hellbound Hellraiser II. Dr. Chenard would make a killing on cleaning TikTok. How he got those hardwood floors looking brand new, I'll never know. Manages to up the ante in all the key dimensions from viscera and effects to Byzantine world building and vibes of doom. Every horror sequel tries to do this, but few succeed. Too bad things went to shit after this installment. So thank you, Jesse. You just won a year of Letterboxd patron.
Guess I'm not moving forward.
Should we get into it? Should we get into Hellbound?
We're all here for the synopsis.
When was the last time Billy Crystal memes took over our chat? Wasn't there like some random event where everyone was posting Billy Crystal memes? Remember that?
When we randomly talked about Harry Met Sally.
I don't believe that's true. This is my pick, Hellbound, Hellraiser 2 for Torment-tober. Proto, what is this movie about?
Pain, pleasure, monolithic. In the aftermath of having her father murdered, de-skinned, and worn by her Uncle Frank, and fighting off sadomasochistic demons from another dimension, Kirsty isn't in a good state of mind. Immediately following the events of the first film, Kirsty wakes up in a psychiatric hospital that is unfortunately run by a Dr. Chenard, a lunatic who also wants to open the puzzle box and access the pain jour of the forbidden dimension. But first, the doctor will resurrect Julia and help her suck off nearly his entire hospital. Using a puzzle-solving child savant, Chenard and Julia enter the Cenobites dimension, followed by Kirsty, who has hopes of finding her father and bringing him back. But oh, what sights they will see in the realm of flesh, hunger, and desire. Although...
We are so back right now. Hellbound. It's pretty interesting that this movie is called Hellbound. Hellraiser 2. You know? There's a few posters on Letterboxd you can change to that like reverse the order of the words, but I'm going with Hellbound is the primary word.
Well, it's a British production.
Yeah, who knows what they're even up to over there.
They do their calendars backwards too.
They pay each other with loonies. So last time we did Hellraiser, Danny, you didn't continue the journey. You did not move on, or did you? In secret?
No. I wasn't moving on after the first movie. Didn't think we ever would until you.
Right.
Graced us.
Until
blessed us with this chance of watching the second one. No, this is it. I mean, I think I said in the last episode, my thing of like growing up with Hellraiser was I would sneak off at the VHS store to look at the VHS cover of Hellraiser movies and Friday or Nightmare on Elm Street movies because they fascinated me as a kid. Terrified of this pinhead.
Oh, imagine if people vote on Nightmare on Elm Street. What if Nightmare on Elm Street was one of the options for our patron vote?
Who's brave enough to vote for that?
Wow. Party, you didn't continue the journey.
No, I really wanted to, though. There were so many times where I almost fired it up on Tubi. but I never did. I was so close.
You mean none of the Hellraisers made the AFI top 250?
Maybe the top 250, not in the 100.
No, you're doing the 100.
I mean, there's like 30 Hellraiser movies somehow. I remember our friend Chuck, who goes,
somehow Hellraiser returned.
Whose review was that? Was that yours?
Mine. You can't tell me that the Dr. Cenobite at the end wasn't an homage. That was Palpatine in the last movie with his machine holding him up.
I had to look up
cooler.
the actor to see if it was the Emperor. I thought maybe it's the same guy.
Yo, that'd be amazing.
That would have been nuts. God. So yeah, we had covered Hellraiser in the past. Go back into our catalog and listen to that episode. And I continued the journey of Hellbound Hellraiser 2. It was also around the same time I started listening to audio commentaries. I think the Hellraiser one was like one of the first ones that I fired up on that podcast feed that just post director commentaries. And I was just so struck by the actress, and I guess it was Tony Randall or the writer who sat in on or Clive, and they all have just such amazing memories, and it annoys me. Everyone can just remember these things from 20 or 30 years ago. So it made me want to like continue at least to the second movie, because as I was saying, our friend Chuck had watched them all and he just had a miserable experience. He said they're all just like diuretic on film. It's awful stuff.
Pleasure pain.
But I mean, some people say the third one is good. So like, do I watch the third one? No, I don't know.
We go.
You got to at least give the trilogy a chance.
Yeah, exactly. Also, what cracks me up about the poster for the third one, it literally just looks like the first movie poster, just with a different color, like slightly different color. They didn't even try. Evan Chat says the third one is her fave. We'll see.
Oh.
All right, so I will lead things off. We'll rotate around the room our top 3 notes for the discussion, then we'll end things with our honorable mentions. I mean, where do I even start with this gem of a film? I'll start slow. I love the Doctor.
Okay.
I love the plot of this Doctor being like our new Frank. Like Frank had sex out the wazoo. He needed something more, so he opened the box for something better, something beyond. And this Doctor is like experimenting on some patients in this dingy basement. And he has, these books in his office. He even has some of the puzzle boxes. Or
3 of them.
I don't know. Were they maybe replicas? But he's reading up on, like secrets of the mind and unlocking those secrets. So I loved the character of the Doctor and how this was like the next phase of the Hellraiser story. Like, what other people out there are searching for what's out there inside the mind, in another dimension? Like, they want to unlock what's out there. So at least that part of the story, I found some very compelling parts to the Doctor. Pardo?
Oh, yeah. I love the Doctor. First, it's insane that Kirsty goes to a hospital that is run by this guy, and he's obsessed with these boxes. Like the coincidence of that.
The coincidence.
She's like in there, and she's like, I think my dad got sucked into another dimension. And he's like, oh, I've been waiting my whole life to find this. It's like, this is what he's like, he spends all of his time for. So like it's a match made in heaven. But this guy, his transformation, I thought he was like, once he got into the dimension, that he was going to balk and be like, oh no, I need to get out of here.
Yeah.
But he doubles down. I mean, the scene, my favorite line of the movie is when he becomes a Cenobite and the like doors open up and he's in front of the thing. He says, and to think I hesitated. Like, this man just got drilled through the skull by like a worm.
Oh my God.
He's got razor wire across his face.
Isn't there another? I thought you were going to say the other scene when the doors opened. Isn't there a scene where he's like, the Doctor is in?
Yeah.
And he's like drifting in midair in his little like head pulling apparatus.
Oh my God.
Danny had his face in his hands as we were reciting those scenes.
I mean, he has to be the only one in the film with a compelling storyline at this point. I mean, he was like the storyline for me, at least. I don't know if anything mattered with Kirsty, but he was a fun character. His office was killer.
Oh yeah. How about that like basement? No one knows what's going on in the basement of this hospital.
Where is OSHA?
anybody.
It looks like you can see a window from the first floor, like directly above you. Like, how are they not hearing these people yelling in pain?
Where does this take place, by the way?
New Jersey.
There's 10 gallons of water dripping into this basement.
No,
like,
where's that
per
water
minute.
coming from?
Yeah.
It's so gross.
Good God.
Proto number 1 for you.
So I found the expansion of the Hellraiser universe or this story in this movie to be really incredible. Because often you get, the first in a series and it's like a cool world. Like I remember that you see The Matrix, right? And I remember thinking like, all I want is like to eat it up and want more of that. And that feels so great when you get a sequel and it actually delivers in that way, because more often than not, it doesn't. But I felt like the way this story expanded on all the ideas around Hellraiser was amazing. Like when it said like you saw that they were going to go into the dimension, I was like, oh man, this might be rough. Like, how is this going to look? And I loved like everything about it. I thought it was incredible.
Yeah. The matte paintings of the
labyrinth,
the arcade theme park where she's first walking through. It's just like this crazy looking theme park. Yeah, there you go. Mosh just posted it. I mean, that is amazing. And I thought that looked amazing still. Like it's a matte painting. They're walking through it. They have like the Leviathan thing spinning. I was like, I could F with this. Like I could F with like a lot more hours of this kind of thing. But yeah, I love that stuff.
I liked the use of this labyrinth matte painting and all the kind of like little nods to MC Escher that they had in this as well, because they're the painting or the puzzle that was put together and on the wall was that MC Escher kind of was that one of his sketches, and I just think it was like a fun kind of play on how his art is very puzzling, but there's a puzzle made out of his art, and then you get to the world and there's this incredible labyrinth painting. It was just pretty interesting. I liked it.
The way that they showed, like you can almost say it's like cost cutting. Like I don't know how expensive it is to get that matte painting and to use that kind of technology of like cutting the frames together. But like when they actually showed them on the stone at the end there, like it looks like they had barely a budget, but the combination of the matte painting plus this, it almost like evens it out. Like, yeah, this kind of looks like you ran out of money, but the matte painting plus this, I was like, all right, this still pretty much works for me.
Yeah, I thought even how they did that whole scene of them walking up there, and then it kind of transitions to just like close-ups of them and like a brown wall behind them. Like there's like nothing else. It's like clearly they don't have anything else to show.
The matte painting that was like the end of the hallway that made it look like the hallway kept going. I always thought they were going to run into it.
Speaking of which, when I rewatched Hellraiser 1, Proto, I saw the wheels on that one monster that you pointed out in our episode about how like that. Remember the big glob monster running down the hall, but you could see wheels underneath him? I definitely saw it this time. Danny, what's at the top of your list?
Top of my list, it has to be the most jaw-dropping scene is when Julia comes back through the mattress. That bodysuit, I mean, I couldn't stop staring at it. Yeah. Like it's like every facet of it was mind-blowing. It almost didn't look. It had the feeling of this doesn't look fake. Like it looks so disgusting. And like, is this what a body would look like de-skinned walking around? Like every time it showed the spine, like her spine going down her back, or even like just the tendons on her arm and the fingers. And I think it's like my favorite part of the movie was her crawling out of, like, first of all, grabbing the guy out of the mattress after he's slicing himself up with the straight edge, like insane scene, but her face coming through the mattress and then just kind of slopping her goop on the floor, crawling after him like that. The sound in that scene was insane. It's just, my mind was blown at that suit. It really was.
Trader in chat, I can't even listen to this. Is this the worst movie series of all time? Yeah, that scene, they had to pick like the thinnest actress they could get their hands on to put that suit on to make it
But did
look.
you guys, you watched that making of. Did they show any of her getting suited up?
Oh, man. Yeah. So I watched 4 hours of the 8-hour documentary they have on Hellraiser 1 and 2. Yeah. I was basically listening to it because the thing is, there's like no behind the scenes footage at all.
Okay.
They almost don't even like splice in any footage from the movies as you're watching it.
Jeez.
So it's basically a podcast of like everyone just talking about Clive Barker for 4 hours.
Oh my God. But did they talk about that suit at all? Like how she got into it and...
No, they didn't talk about that, but they did say, and I guess this makes sense. I didn't really think about it, but they say for actors, it's 10% acting and then 90% waiting. So these guys would get dressed in like 5 a.m. for these Cenobite costumes or like, anything they're using. And they're in it all day. Like they're just sitting in these suits because they can't get them in and out of them. Just so the thought, like, and that suit is it's insane.
Mm-hmm. It really is incredible. Like I would watch this again just to watch that scene again.
Yeah.
It's baffling.
This when he's cutting his chest.
Oh my God.
With the knife, I wrote, dude cutting himself, goodness, Cronenberg, retire. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, and I hadn't seen this movie again.
The part where it's like the shot straight down on him where he's like flailing about with the straight edge. He starts just like, it's not cutting anymore. It's like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Pull back a little bit. We're not seeing the knife cut a damn thing anymore at this point.
When she puts her hand in his brain.
Excuse me.
I wrote in my notes, classic hand and brain move. I mean, it goes right in the back of his skull.
It was like, is this cake? And she's like, yes, it's cake. And she sticks her head right through. The orange goo coming out of his mouth afterwards.
Oh, that was so foul.
My God. I want to lick it up.
The scene. So I watched this with Amanda, and I don't know if she watched the first go around with me, but this time when Julia has her white pantsuit on, I mean, 5-star moment. She comes out wearing a white pantsuit. Are you kidding me? Iconic. Actually, no, it was before that, where she's wearing bandages or something, or after. So she's bandaged up.
That's after, yeah.
And, you can feel that there's something between them, Channard and Julia.
Yo.
And they start getting closer and closer. And his hands go down her rear end and pulls up whatever she's got on. And the camera is there. Like, you see what he's trying to get at.
Yes.
And she has no skin.
She has no skin.
She has no skin. And then they start kissing. Amanda audibly goes, oh my God. Like she could not contain herself about what was happening on screen. I mean, we could spend 3 hours dissecting that moment where they're kissing and his hands are handsy. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm getting at?
Oh, I saw it.
The character development of Channard in that moment.
What a moment. What a friggin' moment. We could make that scene my number 2.
When
really.
I saw the the rated R at the corner with like violence, sex, nudity. Like the nudity, I wasn't expecting the nudity to be skinless nudity.
Skinless nudes. Hashtag. Let's see. Proto, next on your list.
Back to Channard. The scene where he gets taken into the drawer and becomes Cenobitized.
Oh my God.
Where he gets like strapped down. There's these like steel wires go across his face and like cut it like pie. And then he gets these, I thought it looked like Slurpee transfusions where he gets like needles on each side and there's like red and blue goo being pumped into him.
Yeah.
And the door closes and he gets sucked down. That whole suit, him getting sucked in there, it was like terrifying, but it was at that moment, it was something that was so much more than I expected from this movie. And there were so many moments like that in this where I was like, what is happening on screen? What did I just witness? Where I was like audibly gasping at what was happening.
That's what I loved when I had first watched this as well. And I felt like I was in a vacuum because no one else was really watching along with me. I was like by myself watching Hellraiser 2, and I just couldn't believe scenes like that. Like I was talking about It last week. Can you imagine a young us seeing any form of this movie as a kid and what kind of warp job that would do to us? Like seeing Shenard getting turned into a Cenobite with the wire pushing on his face.
Oh my God, what a shot.
The worm hand going into his brain. Like, oh my God.
What did we watch?
I would mentally never recover from that if I was a child watching this. Speaking of which, James walked in on us watching this movie at some point.
Did he?
This weekend. He's like, what are you watching? But yeah, I mean, I feel like this movie isn't talked about enough because of those scenes. Like me personally, yes, I had a great time watching this. I had a lot of fun. But I mean, there's some really cool stuff in terms of like hellish gore that, I don't know, I think it maybe deserves a few more props than it gets. Maybe I'm the sicko here. Yeah. I mean, we saw Casey gave it a 1 star. I'm trying to read the tea leaves here to think about what potentially Danny thought. I don't know. I think I love those scenes.
Another thing that I loved in the way like they upped the ante was that they didn't go in the direction of like, oh, Satan's here or anything like that. But they have the Leviathan god of this dimension there. When that happened, when this thing comes on screen and it flashes like that black light over them, which felt like almost like they were having a pulse of like the most extreme pleasure and pain all at once. My mouth was agape. Like I couldn't believe that they wrote this into the movie. And I love like the visual of it, of like what it did and like the way Julia was talking about it. Like, this is my God. Like I loved all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what you're talking about. Did I fall asleep during that?
Oh my God.
Danny, what's next on your list?
I have to know how Kirsty put the skin suit on.
Oh,
what a transformation. like she, first of all, Julia loses the skin.
Her skin flies off.
Incredible scene. Just an incredible moment in this film. But the idea for Kirsty to have, for her to have the idea to go get the pile of skin, wear Julia's body skin on top of her skin, right, to come and fool the Dr. Cenobite, was incredible. But also, why are you wasting our time with not showing her putting this bodysuit on? I have to see how she did this.
Maybe one of the grossest moments in the history of film. Like if you're in the moment there, she's thinking, what's my options? I'm going to put on this human being skin on my face. Yes. And she's covered in blood. Like at the end, we're just like coming off like, ugh.
So metal. I love that they don't show that because
I want to see her do it.
Blown when it was her. Like I was like, Kirsty's being the skin. That like blew my mind.
But I want to see it. I want to see if that footage is on like the cutting room floor. Show me her like
leaning against the wall, trying to get one leg in,
pulling up her skin pants
on, shifting around,
loses her balance. She's jumping on one foot.
Yes, incredible moment.
Oh God!
Anytime the skin suit ripped off like the shoulder, what the vomit.
Yeah, that was gross.
It was rough.
My final point. I mean, I wrote in my original review that there was like a moment that was like Return of the Jedi. I was getting Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, I need you to explain that.
Boss baby vibes. Pinhead. I mean, first of all, Pinhead's entrance in this movie. That is sick. It's sick AF. I think I referenced it was like Stone Cold Steve Austin's music hitting, Ian the Glass breaking, and him coming through at SummerSlam. But I'm fist pumping like, hell yeah, you guys are about to get effed up. But there's a moment where Kirsty uncovers like the origin story of Pinhead, that like he was a human being, the Cenobites or Leviathan did this to him, and she like essentially turns the Cenobites, in her favor against Shenard. And I thought of the Emperor scene with Vader, with Luke, Like Luke making the pitch to Vader, like, there's good in you. I mean, she might even say that in the movie.
I think she does probably.
Like, you were human once. You haven't always been this way. And that's the Jedi scene that I got. And I was like, okay. And then they like turn. I mean, they all get effed up and die instantly. Like screwed. They didn't do anything. So it's like the worst attempt. But that was my Jedi moment. You know, like a redemption arc for Pinhead and his Cenobites. I loved when one of the Cenobites turned out to be a kid. Like, because you get to see the real form when they use the puzzle. That was pretty badass.
Yeah, that was wild.
And with like they're spinning on that thing to reveal what the kid looked like. Yeah, pretty cool.
I was looking for your Return of the Jedi reference, and honestly, by the end of it, I felt like there was like 3 or 4 things that could have been said. Because there's this scene where at the end where they like are looking down into the labyrinth, and there's like the blue lightning at the bottom in the same way when the Emperor's thrown into the pit. I was like, oh, is this it? Because this could totally be it too.
How amazing is it that there was multiple options?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I saw when they first entered the dimension too, and it's Shenard and Julia walking down the hall together. There's like this green light that grows across their face where it looks like the scene of Luke where he's talking to Vader underneath. I'm serious. She has the green light on her face. So many homages.
Unreal.
I mean, is this the Return of the Jedi of horror movies? Like, realistically, at the very least, the Hellraiser franchise. Proto, final point.
We hit most of my big ones. I also like the scene when she runs into Frank in his temple.
Frank's temple.
And then he like tells her that it was actually him that was trying to get her to come back. It was never her dad. But at the end there, where that whole temple is like lit on fire, and it looks like Frank is standing in the middle of an inferno. I thought that looked great. Like that whole set piece with those bodies coming out of the drawers, that was all amazing.
Yeah, his hell, or like his version of hell, like those women he couldn't get his hands on.
Right.
Also, how about the flashback of Frank at the wedding? Did you see that? Remember they flashback and Frank's stare at the camera, like in the wedding party. He's like sideways and he's looking down like this with his weird hair. Oh my God. Iconic Frank. Danny?
There's a couple things that I loved, especially at the beginning of this film. How about just the audacity to do a recap in a film? I don't think I've ever seen a movie that's done a recap of their movie beforehand to start off a film. I was baffled by that and happy because I didn't go back and watch. Maybe they just assumed no one's going back to watch.
They knew they had viewers like you.
We got to get them hooked in. But also, I loved having the quick little backstory of Pinhead, and then it's showing real quick on how he got his like Cenobite look, the nails getting nailed into his head.
Oh my God.
Yeah. That segment was gnarly. I really liked that segment.
That was insane.
Cool. And I just wish there was more Pinhead, because I feel like I wish there was more of the 3 Cenobites than the Doctor, because I think the Doctor got a little goofy towards the end of his kind of run.
Yeah.
But I really wanted more of the Cenobites in this one, at least Pinhead, because I feel like he's just a badass looking character.
Mm-hmm. And we haven't talked about the stop motion stuff. The stop motion
stuff. The
stop motion like tendrils from the Doctor.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That one
gnarly.
That one looked weird.
Disgusting.
I don't know what like camera trickery they tried to do, but there was like some weird phasing of the tendrils that just didn't look. I don't know, where did I watch this? I think it was Shudder. I saw some people tag first of all, so many people tagged their reviews. Like there was 3 to 4 pages I had to sift through of Hellbound 2 people.
What?
Tagging their reviews. 70mm pod. It was amazing. Some people said that like the Prime version like was crappy quality, so they moved to Shudder or vice versa. So I don't know.
Also, one of the versions was the uncut, which is what I ended up watching.
Really?
Yeah, we watched the uncut version.
Do we know what the differences are, Proto, with your 9-hour documentary?
They were talking about this in the Discord, and I think we watched it. I think it's like because they mentioned some scenes that I saw, so I think I watched it on Shudder too. So I think we probably watched the uncut.
Oh, okay. Honorable mentions from me. Let's see. The opening surgery that the doctor is doing. That person's like scalp open while he's drilling into their brain.
Yeah.
I mean, right off the bat, you're just getting wild stuff.
I like that that's not how they do that right away. The stretching of the skin. I don't like that.
It was so gross. Like what
come
skin
on.
are you even stretching there?
I don't know
Scalp?
how that skin stretches.
I don't know. Frank on the ground next to the wall, and he's like, "I'm in hell."
Oh yeah.
What a friggin'
Those
shot!
suits are incredible.
Yeah, that person needs a raise. Also, you can see like his fingernail like breaking off as he's writing on the wall in blood.
Stop. So gross.
My Amanda made a joke because there was like another section where they're showing clips from the first movie, and she's like jokingly said, "Now with 30% more footage, Hellbound." There's like barely like the first hour of the movie. I feel like half of it is flashbacks. Come to daddy. Like there was like a longer version used in this movie. I feel like, or slowed down or whatever. Children of the Vortex is just a cool phrase. I wonder if that gets investigated in the other movies. How about the doctor, Steve Guttenberg, getting offed? Like, remember he like investigates with Kirsty. And he sees Julia. Oh my God, that room that Julia's eating all the patients. And he gets killed like right away. He's over.
Gone.
I was like, man, that guy died
His
quick.
head is cake.
Yeah.
Well, I also love like how he sneaks into the room and he's like, all right, something's weird going on with my boss. Let me go see. And then you see a corpse come out of a mattress. Like,
Jeez,
what happened to this guy in 10 minutes of like, and then at one point he's just like, I'm out. He just like goes back out the window.
I just had to click to see if it really was Steve Guttenberg.
He looks like
where
Steve
does Steve-
Guttenberg.
No, he doesn't.
There's a scene where he's talking to Julia and you can see the corpse that's hanging there. It's shadow in between them, like on the wall. It was so funny. Bloody mattress, skin suit. Yeah, them kissing. Amanda freaked. That dead body three-way in hell. There was like, she was like seeing that vision of
yeah.
I guess it was like dead Frank, alive Frank, and her or Julia going
that's
at
what that
it.
was?
Yeah, like Frank was like tied up. It was crazy. Leviathan, one of them is a kid. Yeah, the finale in general, like when Dr. Cenobite is like going after them and he's just hanging from his skull. The backdrop, the blue backdrop or whatever it was, the budget is just gone. Like some of that stuff in the transfer on Shudder or whatever, it looks like ugh. But I still loved it. Like I loved the design of him. I mean, the design of him and doing that practically in 1988, that like, that's crazy to me. Like it's obviously CGI now. You're not just having this guy strung up by string or whatever attached at the skull. Also when his head gets ripped off and it's just like from the top of his jaw up, just dangling there.
Incredible.
You kidding me? 5 stars. I'm moving up 5 stars for Hellbound. Hellraiser 2. I had an amazing time. This is what it's all about. You know? This is what it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
Pardon?
Don't save me for last.
Do you want to go?
No, go for it.
How about when Kirsty, she tastes the blood after...
Yeah, what the...
She's like reading the words and then she puts it on her finger and you're like, there's no way she's going to taste this blood. And
you have to smell it. You have to smell that amount of blood, you know?
She licked it though.
Insane. How about Chinar just leaving the hospital every day with one of his patients and no one... Is there any administration at this place? Like, what is going on? Like, oh, Shinar, you're just going to borrow another one of those? Make sure to bring them back. I thought it was funny that Julia was willing to go back into the dimension after leaving. When in the first one, Frank is so set on getting out. But it's like the opposite for Julia, where she's like, no, let's go back in. It's going to be a good time. You know, she's like a willing participant.
Mm-hmm.
There was this one moment, speaking of the budget, where they're in that long hallway and Kirsty like leans up against the wall and you can see like the wallpaper flap of the bricks. That was great.
So the one where she gets thrown into the wall by Frank? That was one
wobbles.
Yeah, the wall just like moves behind her.
Is it cake?
I had a great time watching this. This reminded me when we watched Flash Gordon. Like it was like such a romp, like over the top. I was like shouting at my TV as I was watching this. I mean, all the things we just talked about. This movie is insane, and it's not just insane in like one scene. It's insane in like 15 different scenes.
Yeah.
I had the best time. I'm at 4 stars.
Amazing.
Louise.
Amazing.
It's when she starts eating the bodies again, or whatever she's doing. How does it grow skin back? Like, does she eat the flesh and then it fleshes onto her?
Nobody knows how Leviathan works, really.
It happens so fast. I was like, how does she get her skin back? I didn't enjoy this as much as the first one. I will say that. I think it has some incredible moments. It doesn't have the moment like in the first one with the body forming in the attic. That's one of the most incredible scenes I've seen in a long time. But this is fine. I didn't think this story was great. I thought it was lacking in a story that I really enjoyed. So I'm at 3 stars. It's okay.
Okay.
It's
3
good.
stars. Famous
Not
Take
great.
that.
70 millimeter shirt. 3 stars is good. Do we still have that shirt for sale?
Just a hat. It's
Just a hat. Sorry. Famous 70 millimeter hat. Okay. Torment-tober on all cylinders right now. We have a letter I think I need to get to.
Okay.
I remembered it. You can leave us a letter, voice memo at 70mmpod@gmail.com. Subject line, greetings from Brazil.
Oh.
What's up, 70mm? This is Dacio from Brazil. Great podcast. You guys are hilarious, emotional, and every episode is
you.
pretty insightful. Brought tears to my eyes when you 3 emotionally dug into Quaron's Roma and has made me guffaw the loudest with most of the episodes, really. What about director Mel Gibson month? Braveheart, The Passion of the Christ, Apocalypto, Hacksaw Ridge. Mel is a pretty divisive guy, so I'm interested to listen to you 3 dig into his work as a director. What about Paul Greengrass's one with his Bourne quadrilogy? Captain Phillips, The Wrecking United 93, his classic Bloody Sunday. Paul's a personal favorite of mine. Love the podcast. Keep up the very good work. Bye. Thank you for the lovely letter. Pardo, would we ever cover The Passion of the Christ?
The Passion of the Christ. I could see us covering that.
I think so.
This is giving me another idea, though, is what if we do a month where it's we do a combo where it's an actor director combo where we do one movie where they acted in it and another where they directed, because Mel has done both, and there's many others who have done both.
I also just realized who the star of Passion of the Christ is. I mean,
I don't know.
Jim.
We better give some time for Jim.
It might be another 20 years before we cover Passion of the Christ. You know, Mel Gibson, divisive is definitely a way to put it. We covered Signs. We walked delicately around that movie. Not super interested to cover another Mel Gibson movie. I think he was just cast in The Continental. Is that like the TV series that is a John Wick cinematic universe? And there were some people that were not pleased with that. They love John Wick, and then they have to grapple with Mel Gibson in that. So I don't know.
What about The Passion of the Christ 2?
Is there a second one?
Oh, God.
Production.
He made so much money from The Passion of the Christ, right? Like, didn't he make like $500 million the way he structured his contract for that movie?
Just the way the Lord wanted it. I could see us doing Braveheart, though.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know about Paul Green. I'm sorry, I skipped over the Paul Greengrass. The Bourne movies, I don't know. I don't think I've even seen a Bourne movie, to be perfectly honest.
You'd know you have because you would have known you threw up watching it from the shaky cam.
Oh, the shaky cam. Next week, we already have our movie picked out. It's Danny's pick. Danny, what movie are we doing next?
It's an old one. It's some old Mario Bava, Black Sabbath, Anthology, Technicolor. We're going back. I don't know what year. 63.
63. 3 short tales of supernatural horror. That's all I'm going to say. It's streaming on
That's all you need to say.
the Holy Trinity, Tubi, Canopy, Plex, probably on the other ones. Any freebies you need to fire up while you're at work and you want to kill time, there you go. Mario Bava. Have I ever seen a Mario Bava?
Have you ever seen a Bava?
I don't know if I've ever seen a Bava.
I haven't seen a Bava.
Bava sounds like a type of bread from a foreign country. Bava bread.
Yeah.
Baklava.
See it. I haven't seen a bava either. 0%.
Yeah, baklava, maybe. Is baklava bread? I thought that was meat.
It's like a sweet.
It's like a pastry.
Oh,
pastry from
pastry meat.
Turkey. I don't know where it's from.
We'll get the interns to confirm the location of that. All right, so that's next week. Proto, any closing thoughts for Tormentober week 1?
Well, I was just thinking this Black Sabbath, you know what looks good to me?
Talk to
Sit
us.
down maybe Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon, kids are occupied, put on Black Sabbath, open up a pumpkin lager.
Oh my gosh.
Am I getting a pumpkin? There's nothing like sitting down with a beer on the weekend watching a anthology. You kidding me? That might be my plan. Who's with me?
Windows open.
Who's with me?
Sounds like Proto was signing off a 4-hour radio shift at 4 o'clock, and he's calling it a day. We'll see everybody next week for Black Sabbath. "70mm" is a tape deck production featuring original artwork provided by Danny Haas. Spiritual guidance and V'ger, the robot who loves movies, provided by Pertalexis. Producer at large Dale_A. And music composed by Cinematrix. Prints and other merch are available on 70mmpod.com. This episode was mixed, edited, and produced by me, Slim. Support our Patreon for access to our VHS Village Discord to talk movies with new friends, access to our exclusive episodes in the 70mm vault, discounts on merch, uncut episodes, and a physical membership card mailed to you. To check out other Tape Deck podcasts, find the link in the episode notes. And if you'd like to support our friends at Letterboxd and upgrade to pro or patron status, you can do so with a 20% off discount using the links on 70mmpod.com. Goodbye.
This is a Tape Deck podcast.